Hello everyone, Nubkex here. Konnichiwa again from Japan. It's a couple of videos actually on holiday in a couple of days running pretty much because it's actually happening. Of course, it's when I'm away on holiday. Of course it is. There's a full rework coming to Hydra, basically. A rework to Trunda as well. Actual information on basically the nerf coming to Wixwell style teams. Also Emic Trunkart style teams. Sorry to Bronco, that's all we can say, I think, from this one. I mean, we'll see. We'll give you my thoughts on the changes and what's happening. We're going to take a look, though. This is fun. I'm actually in like a traditional like ryokan here tonight. I've got my top knot, right? We've got the, I don't know what these clothes are called, but yeah, it's a fun one. But let's dive in. Let's check out this video. This is like an official preview video from Raid that I think you guys can go watch as well. Hopefully the sound and stuff's going to be okay because I'm recording on my phone. Apologies if it isn't. It's the best you can do. Maybe I'll invest in like a proper setup for next holiday or something. We'll see. Let's dive in. Let's watch it. Let's see what they have to say. And yeah, let's just go. Let's do it.
Hey everyone. We've got a different kind of update preview for you today. We're showing off some balance changes coming to the Hydra and a few other areas of the game. Along the way, we'll explain why we're making these changes, but here's a quick overview. The current meta is way too limiting to players who don't have specific champions in their collection. We want you to experiment with different tactics and teams,
this is pre-nerf Trunda right there.
Week. Let's dive in and take a closer look at what's coming. First up, we're setting the turn limit at 1,000 turns. Auto battling the Hydra can easily take...
Alright, so a 1,000 turn limit. So the turn limit right now is 1,500. So they're reducing it by 1/3. So like just straight away. Well, actually, I'm not sure. We'll see what the other changes are. But, I mean, that would obviously reduce the damage by 1/3 as well. And possibly even a bit more than that because some champions, some of the strongest champions, such as Ninja, Toshiro, etc., they actually scale up their attack, in Toshiro's case, attack and HP, Harima with defense, right? So their damage actually gets higher as the fight goes longer. And for also multiple Hydra teams as well, you can often actually chain through decapitated heads right now. So again, your damage sort of ramps up pretty quickly. But yeah, that's definitely going to lower it. I actually think this is a great change. I almost kind of wonder if this might have been better even going shorter, to be honest. The fight's going really long, makes you get these crazy damage numbers, which is quite fun, but it also makes the fight go really long, you know? Like, you're typically looking, I'd say, going the full 1.5k turns in Hydra. On auto, probably takes about an hour. On manual, probably takes an hour and a half. Lowering that by 1/3, I can actually see, right here it's looking like 40 minutes on auto. I don't know. I'd be guessing it's going to be something like about an hour of manual play and about 40 minutes of auto play. In my mind, I think that's still too long. I actually would have liked them to go further on this, is my initial thought. But hey, let's see what else they're saying here.
Over an hour. So we're aiming to cut down the time by at least half an hour. You'll now need
they're aiming to cut down the time by half an hour. I should also say this is obviously going to lower your potential damage, but generally speaking, I mean, to have a team that is capable of lasting for that long against Hydra, like you are typically speaking, like it's extremely unlikely that you're getting low damage scores. You're typically getting massive damage scores when you're actually hitting the turn limit. So I don't think this is going to like... It's anyone that's getting that high score, everyone else is going to be affected as well. So it's not like in Hydra Clash, oh, you're worse off. Like, yeah, you're worse off, but so is everyone else. I think for trying to get like your actual chests to just get your basic rewards, you know, that should still be the same. They shouldn't be affected because these fights are going really long. Like maybe it will affect for some people the personal rewards from Hydra Clash, where you might be relying on like one crazy key that goes super long. I don't know. Again, let's dive in here though.
Damage faster rather than teams built for a war of attrition. With a few adjustments, you'll have no problem reaching the damage numbers needed to get your usual rewards. Moving on, we're changing how the Serpent's will buff works. Most importantly, and brace yourselves, folks, it now reduces damage by 100% for a newly grown Hydra head.
Oh, shit.
You read that right. Complete damage reduction. You won't be able to nuke a newly grown head straight out of the gate anymore.
Okay.
Hold on, though.
You know, to be fair, that's probably a good change overall. One thing I'd like to see come with this, with that the Hydra heads might not open with their moves straight away. That might be fun, because it can be very frustrating when, like, the Head of Blight spawns in with the Head of Decay at the same time. And like, oh, I don't have my Provoke ready, and oh, he just cleansed everyone, and now the Poison Cloud's gone out, and I didn't have enough time to react to it because the heads respawned, my move was on cooldown, I'm in trouble. That can be a bit frustrating, I would think. So I'd like to see that. I don't think that's... We'll see. Maybe they'll change that. I don't expect them to. That might be kind of nice. But yeah, now the heads will be totally immune to damage. It's obviously, again, going to lower your damage. You do a little bit of damage. And obviously, if you're running a Trunda team in particular, you're doing a massive amount of damage. Trunda can one-shot heads that have the damage reduction buff. Obviously, now they're taking 0 damage. That's not going to happen. They basically have block damage, essentially. So yeah, that totally massively nerfs Trunda. Yeah, massively nerfs her. Because Trunda is always, as well, going to be the first champion to be devoured. You'd probably be able to break her free, but, you know, you won't be able to stop the Devour timer now. Whereas with Trunda right now, because you kill every head before it ever takes a turn, the Devour timer just doesn't happen, right? Because you just one-shot everything. Everything. So that won't work anymore. That's an interesting change.
There's good news, too.
Neighborhood watch.
If 2 heads regrow at the same time, only one of them will get the Serpent's will buff. Champions have gotten stronger since the Hydra initially reared its heads.
Okay. Oh, yo, pause it right there. So when you have multiple heads respawning at a time, only one of them, I think that's what it said, only one will get the damage reduction. So you can just start. That's brilliant. It can be very annoying in Hydra again as well, when you're fighting a bunch of freshly respawned heads. You're like, okay, well, all of them are taking like almost 0 damage. I guess we'll just wait. So now that you will be able to hit at least one, that's great. I wonder if like one respawns and then a few turns later a second one respawns. Will they both get it? Or will it be like, oh, well, there's already a fresh head with the damage reduction, even though it's a few turns later, maybe the second head will still not get the damage reduction? I'm not exactly sure. Does it only happen if they respawn together? I don't know. I guess that's something we'll have to find out with testing.
Armament and mythical champions joining the fray. Mm-hmm. We were seeing Hydra heads nuked as soon as they rejoined the battle.
Yeah,
even with the
that's right. The mythical champions like Trunda and Yumiko, of course. Yeah. Absolutely.
So to make the fight even and bring back some of the challenge that's been lost due to the game's evolution, the Hydra is getting a little stronger too. We're also making changes to digestion and devouring.
Okay.
You know how late on in the battle your champions start getting digested on a 2-turn countdown?
Yeah.
Well, for every subsequent time they get digested after that first 2-turn countdown, the damage you'll need to do to free your champion increases. Like with Serpent's Will, digestion and devouring.
The fourth one, it's massive.
Intended challenge over time as more powerful champions and features were introduced.
Okay, that's crazy. So yeah, once it hits the 2-turn cooldown, which again is pretty far into the fight, so like for players that are typically progressing on Hydra, you know, by the time you get to like the 2-turn, you're often, you know, if you're progressing on Hydra, you're probably kind of done at that point. But this means like for people trying to push really far, it gets just way harder to break people free. That's interesting, and that's stacked on top of the turn limit. Yeah, it's gonna make it kind of rough. Interesting here, at least in the sample they're giving us, that this is the 5th 2-turn cooldown, and I can see in the background that they're on turn count 997 out of 1000. So you're not going to see this bar probably be absolutely massive. I mean, maybe the text doesn't match up with the footage in the background, but I'm assuming it does. So yeah, you're going to see maybe 3 to 4, maybe 5 of these Devours, and that's about it. Then you're hitting the turn limit for the fight, you would think. But still, that's interesting.
Hydra's key mechanics and an ever-present threat. But it became really easy to rescue allies that were being digested.
Yeah.
So we're bringing that fear back into digestion.
Okay, I actually think that's a fine change, probably. I mean, we'll see how it feels when playing and testing. But yeah, I think the digestion, like the time going lower, like we are at the point now, like at least for me, certainly with most of my keys, I can just one-shot the thing and just break people free, and it's really no trouble. It's not that scary. I think the bar getting bigger, that's fine as well. Just scaling it up, and again, you got to get pretty darn far into the fight for that to happen. So that seems
Taunts won't help anymore
good.
Either. The Hydra has shed its thin skin, and petty insults will no longer distract it from
Ooh.
a delicious champion meal sat right in front of it.
Ooh.
In short,
this
once
breaks
a champion receives the mark of
teams.
the Hydra debuff, they become public enemy number 1. And Taunt isn't going to do anything about it. Taunt is a cool mechanic, but new champion combinations emerged that could totally negate the mark of the Hydra. Less cool. It's not all bad news, though. Your team's AI will now prioritize attacking the head that is digesting.
That's
when you're
already in the
running
game,
auto battle mode.
I think.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Exposed necks are also getting...
Okay, that's crazy. So I'm pretty sure that just breaks any taunt-specific teams. Like, taunt is still useful. I think it will still attract some of their A1s, and it's an extra buff for, like, Head of Mischief and stuff like that. So it's still probably somewhat useful, but nowhere near as good as it was before. That was one of the main uses of taunt, and particularly with, like, these multiple emic and cooldown reduction teams, where you could keep taunt up permanently. You would basically permanently stop the Devour, which is pretty busted, honestly. I was surprised, I will say genuinely, when they first announced, like when they first brought out Taunt, that was a feature. A feature of it was that this would prevent the Hydra Devour mechanic. I honestly, when they first said that, I initially thought it was a bug, and then they confirmed that it wasn't a bug. I was very, very, very surprised. Very surprised. But they put it in. They're removing it now. They've clearly changed their mind. I'm surprised that they allowed it in the first place, and they, again, I'm certain that they allowed it intentionally in the first place. They're now going back on that. Again, I think this is probably good overall. I mean, it sucks if you're relying on that team like that. That team's just not going to work. I think one of the things they're saying, my understanding from these changes, are that your old teams should still work, and if you were getting chests before, you should still get them. As far as I can tell from this, if you were using like an emic taunt, perma taunt team, it's just literally not going to work. I could be wrong. You might still be able to muddle through, but I'm pretty sure it just doesn't work. It's just broken. So yeah, that's just gone. I'm pretty sure. That's going to definitely affect people are going to be mad about that. There's no question. But yeah, I don't know. So it is what it is. I'm afraid it is what it is. But yeah, beware if you are relying on taunt. Looks like it's going to not work at all, really.
Rework. From now on, exposed necks will have a set HP value that is double the original head's HP.
Whoop.
Once that value reaches 0, the head will immediately regrow.
Ooh.
With constantly regrowing Hydra heads, you'll need to think on your feet and have tactics in place for all potential scenarios.
So it comes back straight away. Now, this would definitely be, you could kill, especially with the Trunda smack or something, you could kill 2 of these decapitated heads at the same time. 2 would respawn at the same time. Only one of them would have the damage reduction. So at least you could start working on the freshly respawn one, like one of the freshly respawn ones. That's crazy though. That's definitely going to add a lot of strategy to it in terms of like, ooh, do I just kill the decapitated head really quickly? Or do I just ignore it and try to kill more heads so that we've got more decapitated for longer? I'm guessing what you probably want to do is to make sure to use up the decapitation HP bar then, right before it respawns. Like, you don't want to waste that bar, but you probably also don't want to smash through it too quickly. I don't know, that's very interesting. That's an interesting change. I'm guessing that is also going to be like a big cap on like the Trunda type thing as well. This is also a sort of nerf. Yeah, it's a nerf, I would say, to a lot of damage dealers for Hydra. Non-max HP damage dealers for Hydra. This is a nerf to them, for sure. Oh god, I actually have a video coming out. One of the videos I recorded was on changes I'd like to see to Hydra. I wonder if that's still relevant. I'll have to check that video too. But yeah, so max HP damage dealers, you're typically hitting the max HP cap on living Hydra heads. So when heads are decapitated, max HP damage dealers like Royal Guard or Newt, etc. don't really get a benefit. And that's where traditional damage dealers like Thor or Trunda can really pull ahead, because their damage is just massively multiplied by decapitated heads, and that lets them, it really lets them benefit. So this is sort of a buff, in a sense. In Hydra Clash, it's a buff. For competing against other players, enemy max HP is now going to be stronger, because you can't get as much out of traditional damage dealers, and like HP burn and stuff is still doing they're still doing sort of the same damage, right? It's I guess the better way to say it is that they're nerfing traditional damage dealers, but they're not nerfing, this doesn't really nerf enemy max HP. They're actually quite happy with this. So that's interesting.
It's about to get much tougher, but the changes don't stop there. We've got a few more lined up to help keep things balanced, starting with shields.
Here's the Wixwell
shields
stuff.
Will now receive a cap of 1 million points. This cap is separate
Okay.
for shields placed by artifacts and shields placed by skills, though.
Separate.
So you could get up to 2 million points of shield. These caps are still big enough to ensure powerful builds remain viable for taking on the Demon Lord and the Hydra, but they'll not be as game-breaking.
Okay, so Demon Lord and Hydra. So this is everything. I'm actually not sure how that affects Demon Lord. I don't know. Someone will have to do the maths on that. Like, again, for me, I use the Wixwell team for Demon Lord, but I'll be honest, I've never looked at the run. Not even once. Like, I just put in the champions. I've just done it on full auto. Like, just auto-complete. And I was like, okay, that works. Done. I have no idea how big the shields get. I literally have no clue. So Wixwell might still work for Demon Lord. I think it'll probably be weaker, but I don't know. I actually don't know. So someone could go in and do the maths. I'm sure Saf will do a great breakdown of this, being like, okay, this is how much the shields actually grow. This is like the turn at which it would stop. And yeah, I'm sure someone can math it out. I've no idea how this will affect the Demon Lord stuff. For Hydra, if we look at, let's say, the if we imagine like the Emic, not the Emic, the Wixwell plus Ironclad plus Aislinn. So this is, you build up a big shield, Aislinn rips off your shield, heals everyone equal to the shield, and then Ironclad does 50% of the damage. Now if your shield is capped at 2 million, and you've got 6 people, 12 million shield total, so that's going to be 6 million damage per Hydra head times 4 is 24 million. So you should do 24 million damage now with the Wixwell Ironclad Aislinn comp. That is a massive nerf to that, I'm pretty sure. It's still enough to 1 key, but that's a massive nerf. If I'm understanding that right, it's a huge, huge nerf. For the Yannicka team, you can now have up to 2 million of a shield. That gets stolen, it gets spread around, she rips it off. I think she does, off the top of my head, I think it's 15% of the shield. So, what, about 300,000 damage per head. Again, I'm pretty sure that kills. So I'm pretty sure, off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure this totally kills any Wixwell team in Hydra. That's a cheese cup. Now, here's the thing. Wixwell is still brilliant for Hydra. I've done multiple videos on it. I use Wixwell in my Brutal team. He's great. In fact, I think my initial Wixwell showcase from the test server when he first came out, where, by the way, I got loads of comments telling me I was a sellout and lying for saying that he was good. But he's really good for Hydra just as a default champ. He's quite like Krisk. Sort of a somewhat budget Krisk. He's still very good, but I don't think any of those shield growth teams, as far as I can tell, are going to work. I think it might still work in Clan Boss. It should be pretty good still in Clan Boss, I think. But for Hydra, I think it's going to be bad. Again, someone else can math it out and let me know. This is just initial thoughts. I'm pretty sure it's dead for Hydra. Pretty sure. Let's see.
And lastly, we come to everyone's favorite dwarven warrior herself, Trunda Guilt
So I've seen
Mallet.
this. She's being
Don't worry,
reworked.
We're not nerfing her into oblivion. We're just rebalancing some of her skills to keep her damage numbers in Hydra back.
I love that. We're not nerfing her. We're It's all about how you phrase it. Like the way I see it, again, I think Trunda coming into this, what I would want to see is she needed to be nerfed, but I still want Trunda to be good. Like, I don't have a problem if Trunda is still one of the best champs. Like, I'm totally cool with it. She's pretty iconic, right? She's sick. She's cool. And in fact, I'd like to see her get some buffs so that she would be better in other areas, because right now she's totally broken in height. I mean, we saw that the other day. We broke down the teams, that the top Trunda team is like 10 times the damage of other champs. Like, that's just stupid, right? But then she's not that useful anywhere else in the game. So I was like, man, nerf her in Hydra, but buff her in other places. So we'll see what they've done. But that would have been my thought. But yeah, I don't know. People are very anti-nerf for, it's like, oh, nerfing is just making a champion worse. If they make her worse, it's a nerf, right? But there can be buffs included as well. People get very, very worked up about what you call it.
It's more reasonable.
Let's see.
Starting with her default skill, Golden Mallet.
Okay.
Trunda will now have a 50% chance to place a stun debuff on both hits. A little upgrade, but a neat one for PvP. Trunda.
Genuinely, I don't know what this did before. I knew it could stun. I don't know what the chances are. Seems like it's a higher chance to stun. Cool. That's pretty solid. Fine. Doesn't matter for Hydra.
50% of each target's defense on her second hit.
Whoa.
However, the caveat here is that it will only ever be a normal hit.
Okay. Hang on. Go back a bit. Can we go back like 10 seconds?
Trunda's second skill, Cloak of Ages, will now ignore 50%.
Okay, so this Attacks one enemy, attacks all enemies with the second hit, doing 60% of the damage, ignoring 50% defense. Only the second hit ignores 50% defense, and the second hit is always normal. Yeah, that's a massive nerf to her in Hydra. I'm curious how that works out in like Arena and other areas. But for Hydra, it's a huge nerf, because part of the reason is that, you know, Trunda, when you hit a head that's decapitated, and then it hits another head that's decapitated, like the second hit gets multiplied by a crit damage. So like top end players might have like 400% crit damage. So it's like you're getting the crit damage multiplier twice, and you're getting like the decapitation multiplier twice. It's quite broken. This is probably somewhat like Sun Wukong though. Like if you think about Sun Wukong, you hit his A2, then the surplus damage I think is non-critical, but it ignores defense. It's probably something like that. So I mean, in most contexts, it's probably still going to be really strong. It's just not going to be like I hit a Hydra head for, I don't know, 2 million, and then I hit another decapitated head for 40 million. It's not going to be like 40 million. Is 40 million really 60% of 2 million? Don't think it is. It's not going to be quite that absurd. But yeah, this is probably still going to be a really good move. I'm very curious again to see. This might genuinely be better in like Arena and stuff like that. I don't know. It's definitely, I'm almost certain this is going to be a huge nerf to Hydra though. It's still going to be good, but it's, yeah, because she doesn't double dip and crit damage. And obviously, you know, your Hydra area bonuses, double dipping and crit damage there. It's kind of busted, but it should still be very strong.
Its defense on her second hit. However, the caveat here is that it will only ever be a normal hit. It's still
Let's
big
see it
damage,
here.
but it won't be quite as...
Okay. So right there, presuming this is her post-change, so she hit the first head for 457. I see she's hitting a decapitated head for 942 million. She's hitting a living head on the far left for 275. Then Head of Suffering, who's got a ton of defense, she's hitting for, looks like 312,000, I think. She actually hit in for more. Maybe Helm Smasher procced on that, if I'm seeing the numbers right there. So yeah, I mean, she's hitting she's hitting the other living heads for slightly less than she's doing the initial hit. A decapitated head, obviously, you know, with Trunda before, that would probably have been about, you know, for hitting for 400 million the first time, that was probably like over 2 million. So that seems like it's a pretty big nerf. And obviously, I'm sure the damage is also capped against the decapitated heads as well, because they only have so much HP. So yeah, okay.
As they have been before.
That looks great, honestly.
Third skill now
okay, hang on. Before this, take a look at what it says, so we don't have to rewind. Attacks all enemies, 70% chance to stun. I'm guessing it books to 100%. Don't know. Also puts HP burn for 2 turns. Extra hit on enemies not under stun. Both hits of the skill do 50% more. Oh, 50% more damage to Stone Skin. That's very interesting. Wow. Okay. I wonder if that's actually good. I mean, are they trying to make you use remember the anti-Stone Skin blessing that nobody uses? You do more damage to Stone Skin. I wonder how Trunda is. That would be interesting, because a lot of people have 6-star crushing around Trunda. Obviously for Hydra, that's still going to be better. But for Arena, if she is much better for Arena, that could be intriguing. Like, could she actually just one-shot? Could she one-shot, like, you know, Stone Skin with her A3 now? If you have the 6-star anti-Stone Skin blessing plus this doing more, I'd be very interested to see that, actually. That could be cool. See, I think before, I don't know, now it's a guaranteed burn. You probably want to build her with some accuracy, actually, for Hydra. So, like, AoE with burn, and she's doing the double hits anyway. Okay, cool. I think before it was like, if you didn't have enough accuracy to stun them, it would then double hit. I can't remember what it did with burn before, but you never built it with accuracy. Now I think you do want to.
Deal 50% more damage to enemies under a Stone Skin shield.
Okay, I mean, that's hilarious. Sorry, just to say, I'm not going to rewind it, but that's hilarious. Like, yeah, she just A3 to Ultimate Death Knight. You still had like half the Stone Skin left. It's like, what's the point, right? Also, burn also does help you. Burn does, I think, 5 times extra damage against Stone Skin, so that helps too. So she could be quite decent for people against Stone Skin now. Maybe. Have to test it.
We're all kit. And finally...
But yeah, the burn is also nice for Hydra, so she's now an AoE burn champ for Hydra as well. Yeah,
the skill now increases Trunda's attack.
Check out this passive. Champion's attack increases by 10% for every stun or burn debuff she places on enemies, up to 50% per round. Okay, so she's a scaling champ. It's not 100% like Ninja, or Harima, but that's still very strong. She'll be able to stack that very, very... Like, you come into Hydra, you A3, 4 burns, you're up to 40% more attack. Like, just like that. That's very strong. So yeah, cool. Big attack boost on her now. She's got good base attack. That's cool. That's great. Give her more damage in arena. Yeah, anywhere in the game. It's good. Her speed increases for every enemy currently under burn or stun up to 15. Okay, and then she brings the burn herself, so she's going to get more speed, just basic in Hydra, very consistent with herself. Right, cool.
By 5%
Let's see what they say.
for each stun or HP burn debuff she places on enemies. Her speed will still be increased as well, both by stun and HP burn debuffs. All in all, Trunda isn't going anywhere. We still expect her to be an excellent choice for Hydra battles and the arena. We tested a ton of early, mid, and late game champion rosters and team composition.
Okay, so this is a +4 Trunda. So before, this team, double Yumiko, +4, I'm presuming, is that 6-star? Yeah, okay, +4 6-star Trunda. Like, before 600 million damage, that's nothing, right? That's nothing. I use like double Nia with a Yumiko. I don't even have the Gerp Tuck, and yeah, that was doing I don't know, 15 billion or something in hard, and that was me not even optimizing. It probably do like 20 billion or more. What's this? Is this brutal? Yeah, I see it top left. Brutal, 200 million.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and then 279. Why is she doing more damage on Nightmare? It's because Crushing Rend scales up so much, so she just ignores more defense. So she can weirdly do more damage, I think, on higher difficulties with 6-star Crushing Rend, just because, you know, Crushing Rend is totally balanced. Yeah, obviously, 279 million damage is terrible, right? Like, again, the world record for Trunda right now, it's not quite this team, but similar to this team, is 120 billion. So if you're good at maths, you could probably tell. If you're bad at maths, you could also probably tell. 120 billion is quite a bit more than less than 300 million. So that's, yeah. I don't know. I certainly don't think that Trunda is probably... I hope they reduce her cooldowns, honestly. Her cooldowns are too long. I think it's very, very unlikely. She seems like she's just a good Hydra damage dealer now. I'm curious how good she is from testing. But they've nerfed her into the ground. Again, she was 10 times better than the next best team. 10 times stronger. You know, it's just ridiculous. Like, going back to one of the comments that was there, that I thought was good initially, and I was kind of reflecting on it after, was that Wixwell teams were necessary for players to compete with Trunda teams. And I was like, if they're doing 10 times more damage, are you really competing? I don't know. Like, if you're in the Olympics and you're like, this guy runs 10 times faster than the other runners in this 100-meter sprint, it's like, are they really competing? I don't know about that. So I think this is good. But yeah, like, would you still run Trunda with double Yumiko? Looking at this, clearly not. But she should hopefully still be a good damage dealer in general. Again, I'd like to see her cooldowns go down. Her cooldowns are crazy long. I don't know. We'll see when we try her out. But yeah, I mean, unless there's something weird happening with this key, presuming they've run the key fairly well, clearly it's a stonking nerf to the Trunda thing. So I think that considering that it looks, I'm pretty sure Wixwell teams are basically dead. I'm pretty sure the Trunda team is basically dead. The new best team is like Teox and Mikage and Toshiro and that sort of stuff. Maybe, yeah, it's just stacking up a bunch of ally attacks like Toshiro. I'm pretty sure that is the new best Hydra team, which I think right now does about 10 billion damage. So yeah, that's probably the new best team. Without Teox, it becomes a lot harder. Teox is really strong right now. Like, obviously, everyone can get Mikage eventually. And then you've got, again, all those sort of ally attack champs. Like, Insensa's really good, etc. So, yeah, I think this certainly levels the playing field massively, though. I think it's very, very good to nerf the Trunda stuff. I think that a big issue in the game, across multiple game modes, we've talked about in Siege for sure, matchmaking manipulation. Trunda being so broken really just exacerbated all of the matchmaking manipulation in Hydra massively. And yeah, just like, cause you know, she's so much stronger than everything else that, you know, like you can just threaten other clans with your Trunda keys and then do really low score just to barely win. And like, you can just just easily smash them with the single Trunda key, right? Just annihilate an entire enemy clan with one key, and you can have multiple, and you can really manipulate it and make it very unfair for everyone by lowering the scores even the big Quails and Krakens can put out. That makes it better for everyone else because they can't manipulate stuff as much. They still can, but it's not as bad. So yeah, cool.
You'll still be able to earn Hydra chests and milestone rewards in Hydra Clash. And you'll spend less time fighting the Hydra each week. As always, we'll be keeping an eye on your feedback.
They're saying that, you'll still be able to get all the same rewards as before. I don't see how that can possibly be true. Like, if you are relying on these Trunda keys or these, Emic keys or Wixwell keys or whatever, like one of these cheesy teams that's now being nerfed, like it seems to me they're being nerfed into the ground. I don't see how, like, there's a very decent chance that a decent chunk of players might not be able to get these personal reward chests for Hydra or whatever anymore. But for me personally, I think, in my opinion, again, it's my opinion, you don't have to care. I think it's a good change overall. I think that this stuff has been crazy imbalanced. I'm just sad it didn't come sooner. Like, again, I literally told them before Hydra Clash went live, you need to nerf Trunda before this goes live. It's just going to be Trunda Clash. And then actually Cadaver ended up being better than I expected personally, for a good chunk as well. They nerfed him obviously very quickly because he was a rare. They nerfed Madman because he was doing what Trunda did, but he was a rare, so nerf him. But yeah, so it's finally happened. It took him, 2 years? 3? I don't know. A long time to make any of these changes. And taking so long also sucks because then players, like normal players, come in and because this stuff isn't being changed, they build the teams, right? And it takes normal players a long time. So normal players have come in, they've built these teams, maybe they're relying on them, they could be in a rough spot. Hopefully it's, you'll still be able to do this stuff. I'm somewhat hopeful for Wixwell and Clan Boss that maybe that's okay, which is probably more important. But yeah, I think these are good changes for Hydra Clash. Like I said, I'll have to test them out to see. I mean, the only thing that I'm reasonably confident I'd like to see change in the future is maybe again lower the turn limit for Hydra even more, like especially if they want it to be manual play. I mean, you can't ask players to do more than 30 minutes of manual play at a time. Like, that's crazy. Like, I think it's still likely about an hour of manual play in one go is too much. Anyway, we'll see. But there you go. Those are the changes. Let me know what you think. I actually think that these seem to me to be pretty good changes, but I think they've been sort of spinning it that, like, oh, your old teams are still going to work just fine. I'm pretty sure that's not the case. I'm pretty sure that's not the case, but I think it will lead for a more level playing field in Hydra Clash and stuff, but I think there's going to be a very vocal portion of the player base that are going to be super pissed, but I guess we'll see. Thanks for watching. See you all next time. Goodbye.